Prayer, tzedakah, v'atorah, all for the safety, security, and well-being of our soldiers. The hostages should all come home, and we should already be now in this, which are called the Chol HaMoed Bein HaMtzorim. We should all be already in the Beis HaMikdash. Talking about the Beis HaMikdash, and as we had mentioned, this is the time that we should focus on learning about the Beis HaMikdash, as Hashem told the prophet Yechezkel. So let us take a little quick tour, focusing today on the original gates of the Beis HaMikdash. In the time of Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, when he built the temple, the whole mountain was pretty small, was about 1,000 square feet. Not too big. It had 5 points of entry, although later on there was more gates, but let's talk now about those 5. There were, on the south side, there were 2 gates that were called the Chulda gate. On the west side, there was a gate that was called Kifanis. On the north, Tadi, and on the east, the Shushan gate. In fact, later on, when King Herod extended the Temple Mount, additional gates were added in the western side. Obviously, the main focal point of the entire mountaintop, of the Temple Mount, the Har HaBayis, as we call it in Hebrew, was the Beis HaMikdash, the structure of the Beis HaMikdash. The rest of the mount contained various rooms and buildings, and it included a house of study. Study of Torah was always important, everywhere, even near the Beis HaMikdash. They studied over there the Talmudic law, obviously, the Torah, Talmud. And then there was a lounge for minor temple officials. Unfortunately, defensive plans always had to be there, so there was a weapons room in case of enemy invasion. There was also a tool shop for tools to repair the Beis HaMikdash. And then finally was one which was called the trumpet place, because we know that the different times of the year the shofar was blown, such as Rosh Hashanah. But even more than this, on Erev Shabbat, before Shabbat, the trumpets would be sound to remind people that Shabbat is coming. So now let's look at the 5 gates. So we said there were 2 gates called Chulda. Chulda was a prophetess. Towards the last years, the end of the first temple, approximately 458, 460 years before the Common Era. And she would sit at these doorways. She would sit over there and admonish and encourage the Jewish women to give up their idolatrous ways. So when the second temple was built, these gateways were named after her, out of respect of her constant reminder to mend ways. Then, as we mentioned, on the west side, there was the Kifanis gate. This gate took the visitor through a tunnel which led to the top of the mountain, of the Temple Mount. And near the outside of the gateway was a magnificent garden with many types of roses. And these roses were not just there to embellish the place, but these roses were used in the compounding of the incense, the ketores. The sacrifice of ketores, which was necessary, was used from those roses. And the word kifanus means in Greek a rose garden. Then we said it was the Teddy gate, or Tadi or Teddy. Where is this coming from? All the gateways of the temple shared the same basic rectangular design. The Tadi gate had a unique triangular shape. And the name Tadi comes from the Greek Greek word meaning high. Because the angle on top made this doorway higher and taller than all the others. Then there was also, on the east, as we mentioned, the Shushan gate. What's a Shushan gate? So the Shushan Gate takes it back to the story of Purim. Shushan Abiru. When Darius, the son of Achashverosh, and it was raised by Esther, and some say was her son, he gave permission to the Jewish people to rebuild the second temple. So as a token of indebtedness or other assistance of the emperor, the Jews placed a carving of the city of Shushan, the capital of the Persian Empire, above the gateway. We never forgot to be thankful even to our oppressors. But Eibishter, nu, gib es in the Beis Hamikdash.